If you pick between 5 different things, you're spreading your time, you're spreading your energy way too far out, and nothing's going to work. But if you dial down and focus on one, whatever it may be, it's going to work every time as you continue to be persistent and consistent towards the thing that you want. Welcome, champions, to another episode of Champion Reads, where we take best-selling books and dig into the principles and the stories that are within and how to apply them into our own lives. My name is William Blake. I am the Dyslexic Achievement Coach, and today is a very special episode. Not that other episodes aren't special as well and have great information, but because today it's going to be just me, one of the executive producers. And here's what I love about it. That although life may be crazy busy for so many people, as you continue to build a business, as you continue to build your life, you realize that as long as you have a team where if everything goes crazy, one person can still push through. One person can still hit record on the podcast. One person can still go out and make the sale. Then you're still making those steps forward. So although our wonderful, amazing other producers and special guests aren't here, we are still going to add value. We're still going to talk about the book, and we're still going to come up with applicable things that you can apply to your life. So without further ado, let's jump into this month's freaking book. It's one of my favorites. For those who can see, it's The One Thing by Gary Keller. Over the last 5 years, I've read over 300 books, most of them being self-help books. And without a doubt, The One Thing is in my top 5. Top 5 out of 300. And there's so many reasons that we can go into it. But today, I just want to share a few with you. I want to share with you Gary Keller's wonderful thing on the domino effect. I'm going to share the reasons why The One Thing is one of my favorite books. And then I'm going to give you 2 activities that you can use to then apply into your own life that have worked in mine and have helped excel it to multiples of degrees and can hopefully do it to you as well. Sound good? Awesome. Let's jump right into it. What I love about this book is that you can turn really to any page. And you know how if you type in Google, you type in Tony Robbins or Gary Keller or some famous individual, Gandhi, Will Smith, Jesus, whoever it may be, they come up with those picture quotes on there. In this book, you can turn to almost every page, and there'll either be something underlined or some sentence in there that is so impactful that can go into a picture quote. Just right off the bat, you open the book to the first words, and the first quote, the first thought that the book gives is, if you chase 2 rabbits, you will not catch either one. If you chase 2 rabbits, you will not catch either one. And for someone who has read this book multiple times, what a great preface for the book. But for those who haven't even read it or listened to the audio version or seen a summary of it at all, it's such a great life lesson. That we all try to multitask, we all try to stay busy. But the true success, the ultra, mega, high performers, achievers, successful people, they realize that as you focus on one simple thing, if you chase one rabbit, you have a chance of getting it. But if you chase two, if you chase two businesses, if you chase trying to do two things at once, most of the time, and especially when it comes to rabbits, you will catch neither one. So I just love how you can open to any page and it just gives off such great just wisdom with everything. The domino effect, one thing that I told you I was going to share. The domino effect, for those who haven't heard about it, think about dominoes that are just set up. And not just the small ones as in those big patterns that you can watch the TikTok and YouTube reels for the longest of times. But think about every domino that is set down. Each one gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the principle behind it is that we need to start small. But when we start small, then we go from that smallest of dominoes to then a bigger one, then a bigger one, and bigger and bigger and bigger, until that small domino that we started with before, another word I think is the snowball effect, goes down into being able to knock down a massive domino. Now, we can all envision a small domino. We can all imagine a massive domino. But some people think of massive domino as the size of them. Some other people might think of the size of a building. Others might think of it as tall as a mountain. To put this more in perspective, let me share a visual with you. So for those who can't see the video format, it's a layout that Gary Keller gives of, let's see if I can slide my finger over, of the first domino being that tall. And then as it goes forward, the ability for it to knock it down bigger and bigger until it gets to the end. Where on the 57th domino, 57th, if you put down 57 dominoes, it doesn't seem like a lot, which is crazy. Because on the 57th domino, it can knock down a domino that is almost the distance from where we're at to the moon. You heard me right. From where we're at to the moon. To put this even into more perspective. So the first domino is just 2 inches tall, not that big. And as you go forward, once you hit number 18 of domino, that first one can then knock down the dominoes to the 18th one, and the 18th one can be the size of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Then you keep knocking dominoes down, and the 23rd can be the size of the Eiffel Tower. You keep going. The 31st looms over 3,000 feet, which is above the height of Mount Everest. My bad. I read that wrong. That the 31st looms 3,000 feet above Mount Everest. So it's the height of Mount Everest plus 3,000 feet above that. And then you go to the 57th domino, the distance to the moon. How powerful is that? From going just a 2-inch domino, just the smallest of steps, to then being able to knock over a domino the size bigger than the world, but the size from here to the moon. That's crazy. That's crazy sauce. Right? That's crazy sauce. It shows the power of focusing on one single thing, putting all your energy and putting all your effort into knocking down the next thing, the one thing. In my life, goodness gracious, I wish I would have read this book sooner, but I'm glad that I was able to read it now and to learn about it. Many people have done this. I've done it in my life. I try to be busy instead of productive. It's not because I don't want to be productive, but before I learned this, I thought being busy was being productive. And so I was on the marketing and social media. I was one of the chief officers of a company. I was creating my own company with my partner for a digital marketing agency. I was going out and writing my own book, as well as partnering with other co authors to write a best selling book. I was, goodness gracious, so many other things. I was trying to create uh, 3 podcasts. That's right, 3 podcasts, one with a business, one with a group of awesome people, and then the other one with myself. I was trying to create my own mastermind, my own coaching business, and my own speaking business. And I thought I was just all this high and mighty. I thought because I was so busy of doing everything, I was able to do it all. I could spurt out any title that I wanted to, and everyone would be so impressed with it. Little did I learn that the people who were the most impressed with it didn't really matter. And the people who mattered weren't really impressed with it. Which made me think about there has to be something between the difference between being busy and being productive. If my life was just so overcome with all these different projects and I was able to share with people all these different titles, all these different things I was doing to impress them, why was nothing moving forward? Out of all those things, why was nothing growing to that big multi-millionaire business that I wanted it to be? So I could provide for myself, for my family, and for generations to come. And that's when, as I was reading The One Thing, that's where the principle came up that my energy, my mental energy, physical energy, even like my spiritual energy, social energy, everything was split into so many different things. Imagine a bunch of cups in front of me. And I have this bottle full of water. This bottle full of water represents my energy. And I pour my water a little bit into each of those cups until all my energy is gone. There is a very little bit amount of water in each of those cups. None of them is giving me back what I put into it. And I knew that if I kept going with that, I wouldn't be able to get anywhere. Because if you divide yourself between 5 different things, I was doing way more than that, but if you divide yourself between 5 different things, none of them are going to work. But if you hone down onto one thing, that one thing can have the possibility of being successful. And so in my life, I did an activity. So let me share this activity with you. And hopefully you can apply this to your goals, and hopefully the busy life that you have, you can narrow it down to what you truly, truly want and need to do to get the success that you desire. The first activity is to take your goal. Mine at the time was to make $100,000 a year. Take the goal, times it by 10. This is a wonderful idea from another book that we book reviewed several episodes back. 10x is easier than 2x. And that's the great thing is like when you read these awesome best-selling books and get these perspectives, you can mix and mingle them together to get the result that you want. And so that mixed with The One Thing. 10x your goal. Okay, so that means I to 10x it. That meant $1 million in 1 year. Then I asked myself, if there was one thing I could do to get to that $1 million in 1 year, what would get me there? Ask yourself this. If you're trying to make 100K in 1 year, and you asked yourself, what do I need to do to be able to make 100K in 1 year? There would be so many different options, so many different, obviously, opinions. But different projects, different things you can do. You can flip houses, you can go into real estate, you can be a car salesman, you can sell a big high ticketed item to billionaires or millionaires, or you can sell a low cost item to millions of people. There are so many different ways you can get there. But when I 10x'd it and asked myself, what do I have to do to get a million? I reflected and realized that all of those options, although they may get me to 100, will not get me to a million. And there were only a few that I came up with that could get me to where I needed to go. And so that list of everything that I told you that was making me productive, no, that was keeping my life way too busy. All those projects, I started crossing out the things that would not get me there. My marketing agency, I crossed it off. My mastermind that I was doing myself, I crossed that off. My speaking business, I crossed that off. Certain social media channels, I crossed it off. And one by one, as I went over my list, I crossed everything off besides 2 different items. The first one was my coaching. Being able to coach individuals, I knew I could get to $1 million as I transform myself and help transform other people. The second one was being an author. Now, there are many things you can say about making money with being an author, but being an author was one, a dream of mine that I've had forever and ever since I was a kid. That authorship would be able to funnel into my coaching business. So as I went out and did a few speaking things, as I continued to write books and sell them, they would lead into the coaching, which would help me reach that $1 million. So I want you to ask yourself, that was for me. That's my insights alone. People can agree or disagree with it if they want to, but ask yourself, what is it that your goal is right now? Is it to make 100K? Is it to lose 20 pounds? Is it to be able to run a marathon, run a triathlon? Is it being able to talk with one stranger a day? Or to be able to make 2, 3 sales calls a day? Whatever it is, 10x it. Because you'll find that when you 10x your goal, that there are very few things that are going to get you to where you need to go. And the coolest thing about that is that when you focus on that 10x and you focus on that one thing that you're going to take the path down, you realize that you've known all along one thing that might help you get to where you need to go. But it was all the distractions and the busyness of everything else that you might have liked a little bit more or had less of fear of doing than that one thing. And continue to distract yourself with that. But when you narrow that down, there's only that one path. And obviously, let's say it's making a business. You can do as much back work as you can, but unless you learn how to do sales or have someone else do the sales, you're not going to have a business. If no one knows what your product or service is, no one's going to buy it. And many people might be scared or fearful of that. But now that you have a clear picture of what's going to get you to a higher point, you realize that's the thing that you needed to do all along. Crazy how that works. That's an activity I want you to try. You could try it as I did it, or you can try it after it, because I want to show you a second activity that you can do. And that is one of Gary Keller's, one of my favorite activities he does in a book, which is, what's the one thing that you can do today that would make the most impact, that if you did it, would either eliminate or lessen the work that you have to do elsewhere? I know I butchered the question that the one thing is, but you think about your 5-year goal. What is that one thing I want in 5 years? Then you think about your year goal. What's one thing that I can do to get to that 5? Then you think about 6 months. You think about 3 months. You think about 60 days, 30 days, a week. And then you go down to that. What can I do today? What is that one thing I can do today so that if I do it, everything else or almost everything else doesn't need to happen? Another version of this is called the 80-20 rule. What is that 20% that gets me 80% of the results? And I don't want to focus on that because I know we're going to talk about that in other episodes. But for this activity, ask yourself, what is one thing that I can do today to move me towards my goal? Write it down or take immediate action on it. Then once you do that, ask yourself again, what is the next one thing I need to do to achieve my goal? And you'll realize that when you specifically ask, what is the one thing? Not just one thing. We've done so many one things. We've done so many one things that our house, our life, our minds are busy and disorganized with so many one things. We're going down to the one thing. As we figured out our finish line, as we figured out what we wanted, and as we reverse engineered it, what is the one thing I can do today that will move the needle to go forward? What is that one thing I can do today that it can be in that 20% to get 80% of the results that I want? Let me give you an example in my life. So right now I am trying to lose basically 100 pounds. So I weigh about 290, 295, and I am working my way down to 195. I have been overweight since the 8th grade. I have been over 200 pounds since the 8th grade. And I think it would be the coolest thing to get down to 195. Which means a lot of healthy habits have to go in there. A lot of hydration and water need to be in there. A lot of different exercise. Meal plans, I've realized. My sleep schedule needs to change. Falling asleep at 1 a.m. isn't going to work for me anymore. And so I think about, if that's my goal, that means I need to lose, if I were to do it in a year, that means I need to lose 7 pounds in a month. Now, for this example, we're going to continue with it, but losing 7 pounds every single month, unless you are like really heavy weight, professionals recommend 1 to 2 pounds a month. Week, I can't remember. So for this example, we'll just do 7 pounds a month to be able to hit that 100 pounds. Okay, so what is the one thing I can do this month to be able to get there? Well, I'll need to make healthier habits. I'll need to be able to make better choices on the healthier side. Okay, not specific, but we'll keep going with it. What's the one thing I can do this week to hit that goal? Well, working out about 5 or 6 days, doing different parts of my body, that can work out. It's like, okay. Now, the last one, what is one thing I can do today to then hit my weekly, to then hit my monthly, to then hit that year goal of losing that 100 pounds? What's that one thing today? Well, that one thing today would be to hit 10,000 steps. Awesome. There you go. So you can be distracted by, oh, I got to watch a bunch of YouTube videos on how to do it. I'll go to ChatGPT and ask it, oh, everything that I need to do to lose 100 pounds. Distractions from other individuals of, hey, we got a party going on this weekend. Come out and hang with us. Or, hey, let's go out for lunch. Let's go to McDonald's or Burger King for lunch. It could be the distraction of sometimes family. Family's like, hey, let's go hang out. Let's just go to the park and sit. That can also be a distraction. How do you change it? How do you get that 10,000 steps? You do things that when you're at the park. You walk on a treadmill for an hour at a certain speed. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's like 3.5 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour to hit 10,000 steps. I guess it depends on how tall you are too. And so we might get those distractions that stop us from hitting our goal. But when we narrow it down and focus on that one thing, we ask ourselves, what that one thing today that I need to do to then reach my goal? If 10,000 steps is that for that day, I'm wearing something to help me watch how many steps I'm taking. I'm not going to be sitting down all day on my phone. I'm going to be up. I'm going to be walking. I'm going to be moving around. I'm going to be lifting stuff. I'm going to, whatever it may be, I'm going to walk at work instead of sit at my desk for 8 hours. If my goal is to lose 100 pounds, today I can hit 10,000 steps. Now, for those who have lost a lot of weight, 10,000 steps isn't it. That's not all you can do. You're 100% right. But it's the start. It's that starting domino of picking one thing that you can start to then, as you are consistent with it over the days, over the weeks, over the months, that then it transforms from a goal and an action item to a standard. And that is so crucial. From a goal and an action item to a standard. Because the standards that we have are like the minimum of things that we hold to ourselves. So then as I'm working, if 10,000 steps is that minimum standard that I need to hit, then I know that there's so much more I can do afterwards. But it's that starting domino. First start with 10,000 steps. Then this is my story. I started with 10,000 steps. I then went to phone off by 10:30. I then went to counting calories and macros. And as I'm going through these, I still kept it. So I did 10,000 steps with each thing added on. I'm on a gallon of water, and now I'm jumping to intermediate fasting. Right? These domino effects are adding on. But now it's easy for me to hit that 10,000 steps, where before I was hitting about 5,000, 6,000 a day. That 10,000 became my new standard. And that simply came from, as we wrap this around to what this activity was asking yourself, what is the one thing that I need to do to then be able to reach my goal? Physical, mental, spiritual, social, emotional, financial, whatever it is, the goal that you're working towards. Just ask yourself, what is just one thing? Start with one thing. Don't overcomplicate it, but just start with the one thing. That's why I love this book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, because that is just 2, maybe 3 lessons that I've learned from it. And I just tapped the surface of it. I didn't even go into the rest of the book. I stayed in the intro chapters. So many different principles and stuff that go into this. And I can't wait that as you listeners and you champions listen to our next episode, that you'll be able to hear more about the practical applications and other people will be on here with me, and we'll have so many stories and so many different lessons and perspectives that when you get off, that you'll be able to take immediate action on something. And that's the goal here at Champion Reads. It's not to boost ourselves saying we've read these awesome bestsellers and we've applied this into our life and we've done this and we've done that. No. This whole podcast is for you champions. It's for those who are crushing it right now, doing what they're doing and just need a different perspective on how to keep motivated and keep disciplined and keep those standards. And it's also for you champions who are just starting out, who are trying to figure out life, trying to figure out what is your passion, what is your ultimate goal, what's that one thing that you would love to do the rest of your life. It's for all of you. It's for the champions, the ones who want to be legends and heroes in their own life. So The One Thing by Gary Keller. This was an amazing episode. So glad you champions and you listeners were able to be here. Champion Reads, again, is for you. And I am so glad that we've been able to have this episode. Champion Reads is brought to you by Champion Circle, which is a wonderful mastermind and accountability business, to where we're able to take champions who are around the world and put them together to where each and every one of them can share what they want, be vulnerable, share what they're struggling with, and just have this awesome, supportive group with each other. If you have questions, comments, if you have things that you want to say to us, books that you recommend, send it to info@championsircle.com. And you can also find all these links to our social platforms, as well as the podcast for more episodes, as well as mastermind groups themselves, because we're now virtual, where you can join us and become a member and become a champion. You can find all of that at mychampionscircle.com. We love each and every one of you. Continue to be the best that you can be. Continue to be the champion and the hero in your life. My name is William Blake, and this was another episode of this awesome podcast of Champion Reads.